Hi folks, Stein North here. A Sunday afternoon. What's an old boy supposed to do when he doesn't have anything going on? Um, I could go take a hike around town, I guess. I took my morning hike, put in a couple of miles this morning, and got back here at home. Just had myself a little lunch, and now I'm sitting and enjoying a cup of coffee, of course. Um, And I thought, well, Sunday afternoon with nothing to do. I got ball game on. Kind of, you see me looking away, I'm probably just glancing to see what the scores are. I'm not even going to tell you which ball game I'm watching. The last thing I need is to get beat up because I'm watching the wrong ball game, right? Of course. um, the so I decided, well, I might as well do a Sty story. Well, I'm sitting around doing nothing. So, so here's a Sty story for you. This one has to do with fishing. Um, I posted one up um, that had to do with fishing where my grandfather happened to hook a very large loon while we were out fishing. Um, and everybody seemed to like that video quite a bit, that fishing story. So I thought, well, I've got a few fishing stories, so I'll just do another one today. So here we go. Here's my fishing story for the day. Um, when I first moved from western Montana back to this area into Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, I I had frequented this area quite a bit in my younger years, and so I kind of knew the area. Um, my ex-wife, she was raised here in northern Wisconsin, so she was very familiar with the area. And so once we got here and we got established here in northern Wisconsin, first thing I did was I got out there and started checking out the outdoors. Where can I hunt? Where can I fish? Well, I got to asking all the locals, what are some of the best fishing spots? And now, when I lived out west, most of my fishing was trout fishing. Um, I owned a couple of spin cast rods, but the main tool out there was a fly rod. And so when we moved back here, I I had to get reacquainted with fishing in the big lake, Lake Superior, and the inland lakes. However, we do have some very good trout streams and some rivers with very good trout fishing in them. Well, the locals had told me to try out the Brule River. They said, if you want to trout fish and go fly fishing, that's the place to do it. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll try it out. And they told me where the best access to the river was, and um, I decided, yeah, I'm going to go over there and give it a shot. So I grabbed my fly rod and put on my favorite hat with all my flies stuck in the brim, and I get to the Brule River, and I fished that Brule River. I didn't get there till late, very late in the afternoon. And I thought, well, I'll just fish into the evening. And I didn't catch a single trout. And the reason I didn't catch any trout was as soon as that sun started to set, just barely setting over the trees, it was still nice and light out, but the sun had gone down below the horizon a little. Every time I cast, it seemed like every time, I caught something. Seemed like every cast or every other cast, I'd catch something. Um, and what it was bats. Every time I cast that fly out there, a big old stinking bat would come by and try to grab that fly. And next thing I know, I've got a bat with a hook stuck in his wing. I caught 11 bats in about an hour. Not a single fish, but I caught 11 bats. Now, I'm not one to. A lot of people hate bats. They scare them to death. I don't want nothing to do with bats. So there was another fisherman on the river, and I'm watching him, and every once in a while he's catching a bat. Well, that bugger, he'd take that bat and he'd reel up his line until that bat was about a foot and a half from the end of the rod, and he'd beat that bat to death on the rocks, and then they'd take his hook off and throw the bat on the bank and then fish some more. Well, I'm a person that I just do not believe in taking the life of an animal without purpose. There has to be a good reason for doing that. And I did not see that as a good reason. So each one of those bats, fortunately, I had a good heavy pair of gloves with. So I'd put a glove on my left hand and I'd grab that old bat by the body and then I'd get the hook out of his wing and turn him loose. Didn't have to kill a single bat. But what a pain in the neck it is when you go out for trout and all you're getting are bats. And I talked to some of the locals after that and asked them, well, everybody said I should go try the Brule River, that it's got such good trout fishing in it. I said, all I caught was bats. And they said, well, oh, no. You need to fish that river during the day. Don't ever go out there in the evening because the bugs are so proficient, or, there's so many of them, prolific, I should say, around that river basin that the bats they're everywhere. They just go nuts for the bugs. And of course, you're casting out little flies, and those stupid bats just think that's another meal. And that's why I was catching all the bats. So I thought to myself, well, it's too bad that they're so tiny, because if they were big enough, maybe I could have a bat dinner. I sure caught enough of them, but never have, and I doubt I ever will try bat. But if somebody convinced me that bat was really good eating, I know where to catch them. I know where to catch them. I can get a dozen an hour, I bet you, out of that same river basin. But there you go. Sty going out to do one thing and ends up doing another. Never did come home with any fish. But I came home with a bat story. So there you are. A short, quick, little Sty went fishing story. Thanks for tagging along. Watch where you go fishing, especially after dark. It's one thing to catch a big loon on your hook, but when you go out trout fishing and all you catch are bats, that can be pretty exciting also. So there you go. This is Sty North saying thanks for tagging along. Thanks for watching. Hey, please subscribe if you're not. Hit the like button. Love it when people hit that like button. Tells me whether or not they're enjoying the videos. I prefer nobody hits the thumbs down button, but if you feel you must, you must. I can take it. So again, this is Sty North saying, you all have a very nice day, and bye-bye.